How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into 14P Fantasy. I am your host, Justin Wright. Today, we are talking quarterbacks, start or sit for Week 13. We got four names that we've seen. You know, if you're on Twitter, you see it all over. These are the guys people are asking questions about. Obviously, if this was before Thursday, we would have talked about Taysom Hill here as well, who 4 interceptions, over 20 points. It doesn't make any freaking sense. It's just rushing. That's what you get. So keep that in mind. We're just, in the future. But before we get into this, guys, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Catch us over on Twitter at 14P_fantasy, at Justin_14P for my personal account. All right, let's get into it. Number one on our list, we have Tua versus the New York Giants. And honestly, I am going to sit Tua here. I just don't think this game has the ability to turn into this high-scoring type of high-flying back-and-forth game. Tua would need to put up significant fantasy numbers. I think Tua is probably a top 15 quarterback. I don't know if he gets into the top 12. The Giants over the last month are a bottom 10 matchup for quarterbacks. Tua's been solid, but as of late, they're winning games, but it's not on the back of Tua, having these spectacular fantasy performances. And that gives me enough pause. The Giants defense is decent. The Dolphins defense has gotten better. It's gotten significantly better, it seems. And that could lead to sort of a low scoring, slow moving game, which is not conducive to a lot of high scoring fantasy games. So that is why I'm pivoting off of Tua this week if I can. Somebody that's out there that, you may have concerns about, not in this episode, but Joe Burrow. I'll take Joe Burrow over Tua, even though Burrow does have the Chargers. I just think that has a, higher shootout potential, which could lead to a bigger day there. Number 2, though, we have Matthew Stafford versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Rams have been really damn bad for the better part of a month now. Obviously did not win a game in November. This feels like a get-right spot. And even without that, Stafford has still been pretty relevant for fantasy, even with the struggles. So I'm going to go back to him, especially against Jacksonville. Jacksonville right now, on paper, they're a bottom 4 matchup the last month. But when you look at who they have played and the games that have taken place, I don't really have a lot of concern. Obviously, we had that weird Buffalo-Jacksonville game where Josh Allen was arguably the worst he has ever been. We had Carson Wentz in a divisional game, just not really get it done. And then you had Jimmy G and Matt Ryan. So it's not a who's who of, superstar quarterbacks that will really raise that ceiling or, is not conducive to a lot of fantasy points being scored. Obviously, Josh Allen there being the outlier. But I think that bottom 4 matchup is a lot more deceiving than it should be. So Matthew Stafford, top 10 quarterback for me this week. Ignore the concerns about the matchup. Rams are going to roll, and Darrell Henderson may miss time, which means it could be even more so on Matthew Stafford to find success in this game. Book him as a top 10 QB. Number 3, though, we have Taylor Heinicke versus the Raiders. Heinicke's coming in as a sit. I think Taylor Heinicke is a solid quarterback, but we saw it in prime time. They do not want to make Taylor Heinicke the center of this offense. They do not want him to go out and win games. They do not want him to lose games. That's what we're looking at. They want to run the ball. They want to check the ball down. They want to dink and dunk their way down the field if they can, with the occasional shot to McLaurin there. But Antonio Gibson looks healthy. He is the motor of this offense. And honestly, Taylor Heinicke for fantasy just hasn't been good. He's been a much better real-life quarterback. He's got 1 top 12 finish in his last 4 games. I just don't see the appeal here against a not great, not bad Raiders defense, very middle of the road. I do think if they keep this competitive, they run a whole lot more than they pass. And because of that, I'm avoiding Taylor Heinicke in Week 13. And to close us out, we have Carson Wentz versus Houston. Look, I get it. It's a divisional game. Carson Wentz has been up and down for fantasy. You know, he's not on that middle of the season tear he was on. He's kind of started to fade a little bit, but Houston is a get right spot as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the last couple of weeks, Houston is a bottom matchup, but they played Zach Wilson, Ryan Tannehill with no wide receivers, and Jacoby Brissett. Carson Wentz is better than all of them right now with the weapons at his disposal. I am in on Carson Wentz as a top 12 QB. I'm in on Michael Pittman as a top 12 wide receiver. Go check out our wide receiver start sit video. That's in there as well. Carson Wentz is getting back to his 2 touchdown ways. And JT, where this could go wrong is Jonathan Taylor, has another 4 touchdown day or something ridiculous and steals all the touchdowns. But I think they're going to be able to move the ball at will against Houston. This should be a great spot for Wentz and the Colts. If you have Carson Wentz, I'm playing him, if I'm playing that streaming game in week 13. All right, everybody, as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us over on Twitter, drop questions, comments if you have them, like the video as well. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.